Hi, I'm Kath from Veg Patch Kitchen Cookery School. Today I want to do an experiment on how to create a lovely soft crust on your dinner rolls. Okay, so we've got two doughs. One I've made with half water and half milk. The recipe is below. And one that I've made just with water. So when you add milk to a bread dough, that makes a more tender crumb and a softer crust. So we're going to see how those work out with the addition of milk compared to just a bread dough made with water. I'm going to make 8 rolls from each of these doughs. So we're going to end up with 16 rolls. And when they're baked, I'm going to cover 4 of each of them. So 4 of the ones made with milk and 4 of the ones made with water, with a clean tea towel as soon as they come out of the oven. That tea towel then should hold the steam in and prevent it escaping, and it sort of creates a soft crust as the water's held down on the top of the rolls. And with the other 4, we're going to brush them with melted butter as soon as they come out of the oven. So let's get started with the experiment. Okay, so these 2 doughs were made in exactly the same way. 500 grams of flour, 15 grams of fresh yeast crumbled into that flour, 10 grams of fine sea salt. In this bowl, I added 175 grams of milk that I heated up to just below boiling point, and then added 175 grams of water to, and 350 grams of water in this one. So this is half milk, half water, and this one is all water. Okay, so we'll get started. They have had the stretch and fold method to develop them, and then they've been left sitting probably for about 2 hours at room temperature in a fairly cool kitchen. So we're going to deal with the one that's half water, half milk first of all. I've got a mixture here of semolina and plain flour that I'm putting out onto the surface. And then we'll scrape that out. And we're going to divide this dough into 8. These are homemade rolls, so I'm not weighing them, but do feel, if you want to, that you can. Okay, so we've got 8 pieces, and then I'm shaping each one into a round dinner roll. Here I have a tray with baking parchment on, and I've marked an M in the corner, so I know these are the rolls that are made with milk. Okay, so those are the 8 dinner rolls made with half water, half milk. I'm going to cover those now with a proving cloth and let them prove. And we'll quickly shape the 8 made with the dough that was made just with water. And it's interesting, when you make doughs side by side like this, you can feel the difference in the texture of the dough. Milk adds a firmness to the dough that water doesn't add. That's partly because milk has fats in, and those fats coat the proteins in the flour and prevent the gluten strands from bonding with one another. So it slows down gluten development and coats those gluten, making it less airy, slightly more solid feeling, with a closer crumb than a dough made entirely with water would do. Okay, so we have a tray here. This does not have an M on, so that I know that this is the dough made entirely with water. Okay, so these with the semolina mix underneath them are those made with water, and these plain on the baking parchment are those made with half milk, half water. So these rolls now are ready to go in. So these are the ones made with water. And these are the ones made with a mixture of half water, half milk. So you can see they're nicely risen, and they're going to go into the oven at 220 degrees centigrade, 15-20 minutes until they're lightly golden all over. Then I'm going to fetch them out. Half of them are going to be covered in the tea towel and half are going to be brushed with melted butter, and we'll see which one's the softest. So it's been about an hour since these were baked, so they're now fully cool. So I can unwrap them from their tea towels. And let's do a little test of which ones are the softest. So these were the ones that were made half milk, half water, and these are the ones that are all water. You can see the colour is much more attractive, well it is to me, on the ones that would have half milk, half water in them. It's got that darker colouring there due to the sugars in the milk caramelising the crust a bit more. These are paler, so if you like pale loaves, these are the ones to go for. Now these are lovely and soft, so let's just have a little test of this one. Okay, so they are lovely and soft. There is a little bit of a crust on there, you can't squish it right down. Let's have a look at the interior of this. Okay, so there's the crumb, lovely, close texture, looks good, nice and soft, be great with a burger. Okay, so let's have a look at the ones that were brushed with butter. Not much difference in the softness. I think possibly the one without butter and wrapped in the tea towel is softer than the one that was brushed with butter. But it does have that shine on, so it depends what you're really looking for in terms of how your loaf, your roll looks really. So let's have a look. Nice close crumb, yeah, great. Okay, so those are the ones made with water, and this is the rolls wrapped in a tea towel as soon as they came out the oven. There is a crust on there, they're not really soft, and they're no softer, in fact I think there might be a little bit harder than the ones that were just made with water. Okay, so there's the texture. Let's do a comparison of the two. This made with water is definitely a softer roll than the one made with milk. It's a softer texture inside the bread, lighter. It feels lighter. I know they're different sizes, but this one's probably slightly smaller and it still feels heavier. So actually that has probably made the loaf more tender. But if you're looking for something that's really soft, then the all water, I think, has beaten the one that's half water and half milk in this test. They're a little bit softer to touch. Okay, let's have a look at the ones brushed with butter. You can hear the crust as I'm slicing through it. There is a crust on there, it's not entirely soft. Okay, beautiful texture inside. Compare that with the white. Not a great deal of difference, sorry, with the one that was made with water here. Not a great deal of difference in the closeness of texture. I guess it's when you get to taste it that the difference is. I mean, that's quite an appealing look. The one brushed with butter, I prefer the darker colour brushed with butter than I do the lighter. I don't think that really does anything for that. I would choose those over those. And this one, I'd probably choose those over those if I was going to. But yeah, interesting experiment. I think actually that these are probably the softest. Still not really, really soft. That might be because they were baked in a fan oven. I didn't use any steam when I steamed the oven, particularly because I wanted to keep the crust as soft as possible. Steam, when you add that, does create a crisp crust at the end of the baking. So my conclusion would be, for my preference, it would be wrapping it in a tea towel every time. I prefer it to the melted butter on top, I think.